Ebonee's creativity.
Hey everybody, I'm Ebony. This is Ebonee's Creativity. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. Today, as promised, we have another furniture flip. And here is the piece that we will be working on today. And it was free because it was a roadside find. So if you watched any of my other flips, you know I love free furniture. And I was able to secure this one simply by riding down the street and I saw it sitting there. So let's go ahead and do a once over of this piece together. The drawers are all very clean and nice, so no issues with those. This one has a little divider. It's pretty dirty, as you can probably see. I wiped this little area here so you can compare. So it's very dirty, and some of the drawer pulls are different. So this one has like some kind of flower on it, and this one has this kind of design. I don't know what that is. So I got these. I had these in my little stash, but they don't match either. So I don't quite know what I will do about that situation, but here is the piece. I'm gonna have to fill a few little areas like that where the drawer pull has swung around while I was throwing this in my truck. And there's one little area, like a couple little dents and dings. This will have to be filled, but not much to do on here. Here's the back of it, which has a little issue. This right here is lifting. I don't know if I'll have to replace it or not. It doesn't look like... Nope. I don't think I have to replace that, so I'll just remove that all the way down and do a little bit of sanding and a whole lot of cleaning. Look at how dirty. That's like a big thick, maybe like a 1/8 of an inch of dirt. So it's going to take a good cleaning, but it came from the roadside and I am happy to have this really nice piece in really good condition. Gonna just need a cleaning and a paint job, a little bit of prep work, sanding and that kind of stuff, wood patching, but other than that, I'm really lucky to have this one. So here is one final look at it. Here is the side. Going to require a little bit of patching down here, but not that much. You know, there's some dents and dings, but this is not bad at all. And here is this side. Let's see. So really not too much to do with this one. So my first step is going to be to remove all the drawer pulls and to store them in a Ziploc bag. I like to do that to keep everything together, especially in instances like this where the pieces have a bunch of knobs. I just like to keep everything together. So now that all the drawer pulls have been removed, I'm going to go in with my glass cleaner and Lysol mix that I have in this bottle and my paper towels, and I'm going to give everything a very thorough wipe down. As you could see in the previous clips, this piece is pretty dirty, so I'm going to just wipe everything down to the best of my ability and get it all cleaned up so that I can see a better view of what prep work I need to do. This is going to have to be filled on the corners. There is some stuff, but that seems like it could be done with sanding. That's probably going to have to be filled. This can be sanded. And on this side, there is like some drips. I don't know if you, yeah, there you can see it. See these drips? That's from the top coat that was put on there when they initially stained this. So I'm going to have to sand this. I'll probably just do a scuff sanding over most of this. But this is where we are now. This is how it looks after I have cleaned it. Cleaned up really nicely. It's kind of a beautiful piece. And of course, I'm going to be filling some of these areas. So next, I'll be moving on to sanding and wood filling. And I have my wood filler right here. This is the wood filler that I like to use. So I like to put a little bit of this on the top of my plastic scraper, and I just use that to push it into the gouged areas, and then I just flip over my scraper and kind of smooth it out so that it's not too much of a raised area. And I really like this wood filler because it does go on pink, and then once it's dry, it turns brown, so that eliminates a little bit of the guesswork. So you'll just see me doing that on several different areas using my, I think this is really called a 5-in-1 tool. I don't know. I just call it a plastic scraper, and I'm just pushing it in and smoothing it over in all the various areas that are a little bit damaged. And you don't have to use wood filler for every little area of damage that you see, just gouges that are too deep for sanding to take care of them. So here's my once over of this piece once I have filled everything that I have deemed appropriate to fill. And while we're waiting on that to dry, we're going to start working on the back. Now initially you can see that the pieces were coming off pretty easily, so I thought that I would be able to just kind of take the pieces that were already falling off and kind of just use a screwdriver or some kind of flat tool to peel the rest of the pieces off. But it got old pretty quickly, to be honest. And sometimes I just like to remove the back panel because sometimes they have a lot of dirt and sometimes they can contain kind of a smell. This one wasn't that bad. I just didn't feel like fussing with those little pieces. As you can see, they were kind of giving me a hard time and I couldn't get them off. So I just decided, since I had some hardboard laying around, that I could just replace the whole thing. So eventually, after I got tired of fooling with those little pieces that were giving me a hard time, I just used a screwdriver to pop both of those two back panel pieces off. And I used a plier to get those nails out that were holding it in. So I'm going to show you that here. I just got a good grip on them and ripped them out, and it wasn't really a problem. I just found this to be easier than dealing with that other method of trying to get those little scraggler pieces off. So up next, I'm taking to my saw and I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces of hardboard to the size that I need. And this stuff is pretty easy to cut, so no problems there. And I'm just going to use 1 1/4 inch screws and just pop those in the back. And this stuff really works out great for backing pieces if you ever decide to do a flip and you need a new backing piece. So here's how that looks once completed. This really was not 100% necessary, but I just like to do it because, like I said, the older backing pieces can sometimes be a little smelly and dirty, and to replace it is just easier for me than to clean it. Up next, I made a little cleaning solution for the drawer pulls out of Dawn, Dial, and Awesome. You can see they're a little bit rusty, a little bit dirty, so I was able to really bring them back to life with this cleaning solution. The shop rag from Dollar Tree actually turned my water pink, which I thought was kind of interesting, but they all cleaned up pretty nicely, so I was able to give everything a really good scrub down and dry them thoroughly. And then once I was done with that, I took them outside where I was able to spray paint them gold with this Rust-Oleum spray paint. So while I'm waiting for those to dry, I went back to check on the wood filler and it is all dry. So I am just going to be sanding over that with my palm sander and getting everything nice and smooth out. And for this step, I'm using 80 grit sandpaper. So I am missing one drawer track. So I cut down this 1x2 into a usable piece. I had to cut it. This is the only saw I have. So I had to cut it this way and kind of shave it down. And of course lengthwise this way. And so I started with this and I kind of shaved some of the thickness off. Here you can see my piece is a little bit less thick. Anyway, I shaved some of the thickness off and of course some of the length, and I made this drawer guide. And as you can see, down here is where I'm missing a drawer guide. The rest of them seem to be intact. So I just took a measurement of this, and here's my piece. So they pretty closely resemble. Now I'm just going to glue this down there and try to find some small nails and nail it in. And I tested it inside the drawer to make sure that it would fit. So as you can see, it does fit and it slides easily. It's not perfect on the back side because, like I said, I had to shave it down with that big saw, and I'm not trying to lose a finger, so doesn't have to be. I could sand that out if I wanted to, but this side is smooth and this is the side that will be face up. That's why I wrote top on there. So as long as that slides in good, should be good to use. So at this point, all of my prep work is pretty much done. So I'm just going to take some 220 grit sandpaper and do a scuff sanding all over the whole thing. So here's what that looks like after everything has been scuff sanded. Now it is ready for another clean, and then we are off to start painting finally. So for this round of cleaning, it's going to resemble the first round pretty closely. Just taking my same mixture and wiping everything down. That's what you see me doing here. So I've brought this piece inside and I'm going to hit it with a coat of Ben Primer. If you've not watched any of my previous flips, I like to bring my pieces inside to paint just for climate control reasons, and also so that if there are any smells, I can have it in my house and notice the smells before I sell this to a customer. On this particular piece, you can see the tannin did bleed through on here, and the tannin is that reddish pigment that gives the wood its color. That is a white paint killer, and so you want to do a couple of coats of Ben Primer until you're able to get that pigment under control. You would never want that to come through on a beautiful white piece, and in this instance this piece will be white. So you can see how my first coat of Ben Primer came out. There's several areas that you can see through and several areas where the tannin is bleeding through. So I'm going to be doing another coat on here because the first coat did not cover well. So this is what this piece looked like after my second coat of Ben Primer, and you can see it really did start to look much better. You can still slightly see that area of tannin bleeding through right there, so I'm going to have to do, maybe another half coat to try to get those areas where that tannin is just persistent. But at the end of the day, it's not too bad, and I'm very glad that I did this Ben coat because I started not to do it. But I figured it's better to have and not need than need and not have. So this would have destroyed my white paint that I intend to put on here. So I'm very glad I went with my instinct to do that. So here is what the drawers look like after they have been hit with 2 coats of Ben Primer as well. Up next, I'm moving on to painting because those Ben coats are dry, and I'm using this 1 Hour Enamel by Wise Owl, which is a paint that I love because it is a time saver, because it has a top coat already included in it. And I'm going in with my brush. This is an expensive brush, but you know me, I'm quick to pull out a Dollar Tree painting kit, so don't be intimidated if you cannot afford a more expensive brush. But that's what I'm using to kind of cut in on the areas with a lot of details, and the smaller areas I'm going to be just using this brush, and then I will be rolling it out with the Dollar Tree paint kit. So I've not forgotten where I've come from, and I have definitely not strayed too far away from my roots. But yeah, right now you just see me doing the body of this in white with the Wise Owl paint. Again, I really, really love the Wise Owl paint. If you can afford to splurge a little bit, I would highly recommend this 1 Hour Enamel. It really does great coverage in one coat, and it also dries within 1 hour with the top coat already in it. Can't beat that with a stick. So if you can, invest in this Klingon brush, which I also love, and some 1-hour enamel, and that will help you speed up your paint projects. Since my first drawer will be white, just like the body of this dresser, I just went ahead and gently placed it back in and went ahead and rolled it out with the Wise Owl paint as well. Okay, y'all. Sorry I look a hot mess. If you want to see me looking cute, go check out the last video for my birthday and enter that giveaway, because today is not the day. But here is what I came to talk to you about. So I'm trying to do like an ombre, and this is my first time attempting to do an ombre look. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making up something as I go. Here is the color that I will be using, and it's Faith by Country Chic. And my idea is to go from a completely white drawer on the top to a completely pink drawer on the bottom. So y'all, I got paint. To a completely pink drawer on the bottom. So the best thing I could think of was to do a 50-50 mix for the drawer that is in the middle. So that's what this is. I've mixed up enough. I've labeled my bags, and I've labeled my brush. I don't know if you can see that, number 4. But I've labeled my my bag, and I've labeled the color that is going to be in it, so I won't get mixed up. But I'm going to try to do 2 coats on each drawer. I started out by taking 1/3 of a cup of each color and doing a 50-50 mix in this bag. This will give me the color for the middle drawer, since that's 50-50, like each color is in here halfway. And for the drawers above and beneath the middle drawer, I'm just going to add or take away more white. And I think I'm going to add it in by the tablespoon. Yeah, so this is the center drawer. For drawer number 3, I'll add a little bit more, a tablespoon of white. And for drawer number 5, I'll add a tablespoon of pink. So that is how I'm going to attempt to get my ombre. I hope that makes sense. If not, just leave me a comment and I'll try to explain it. But basically, 50-50 mix of the pink and the white is my middle color. And then I'm going to do lighter above that and darker below that until I get a good ombre. And so here's what all my paint colors look like, kind of laid out. Okay guys, I am super excited to show you my finished product, but first I just wanted to pop in and request that you would subscribe to my channel. I do chit chats, thrifting videos, home decor videos, DIY videos, and also these trash to treasure furniture flips. So if you have not already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. So without further ado, here is the finished product. I really love how this turned out, although that ombre painting took all day, literally. But anyways, it was worth it because it really turned out beautifully. This would go perfectly in somebody's little girl's room or nursery. So I really love how this turned out. I think the gold sets it off and it just really looks good. So leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And don't forget to thumbs up and share my videos. And I will talk to you guys in my next one. Bye guys. If you have the time, please select another one of my videos to watch from the choices on your screen or in the description box below. Thanks guys.